Starting over and rebuilding your life in your 30s can actually be quite lonely. And even though the people around you, they might mean well, it's the part that no one talks about. But you have to realize how important it actually is. I'm actually navigating this too. I'm leaving behind mindsets, relationships, old habits, and it can feel very lonely, but also exciting at the same time. And the loneliness, it hits very quietly. It's something a lot of people don't see, and it can feel really heavy and cause you to almost feel like you need to segregate yourself or pull back. But it's very important that you understand that this feeling, it's normal, and navigating it is one of the most important things to get to the other side. So there's a couple reasons why the loneliness happens during, our actual season of change. The first reason is, isolation is very common when one is going through a transition period. If you think about nature itself, let's use the butterfly, for example, because I know a lot of the times it's used, but we don't really think about the significance. And when it comes to the isolation part, when the caterpillar has to go into its cocoon by itself and really go through that transformation, it does it by itself. It doesn't require a partner. It doesn't require family. It goes through that quietly by itself and emerges a beautiful butterfly at the end. So understanding that feeling like you need to, isolate, feeling like you need to be by yourself, a lot of time it's very important, especially for that self-reflection part of what is required. Another reason why you might feel lonely is because some people might not understand why you want to change or why the change is happening. And this is where a lot of the times we do have to let go of some of our relationships, because when you decide you want to become a different person, when you decide to grow out of the version of who you were into something new, not everyone's going to be on board, and that's okay. They're in their own journey, you're in your own journey. And it's very important to understand your job and in where you are now is not to convince someone else on accepting you. You're mostly convincing yourself in accepting the changes you're going through and the people, things, and habits that you have to let go. So it's very normal for some people to, question your change or even not be on board with it. Another reason, and one of the biggest ones I can say that can cause the loneliness, is in this time, your self-doubt actually increases because you become more of aware of where you are, but you also kind of fall into a hole before you come out of the hole. So the self-doubt increase, you start to question why you made certain choices. But in this moment, this is where the growth actually starts. And it's always like a storm where it's gonna get worse before it gets better. And it's because we start to focus on ourselves a lot more and realize the internal battles we've been having with ourselves that we haven't confronted. And being able to confront that in that moment, it's definitely going to cause more self-doubt until we start to learn how to love ourselves again, trust ourselves again, and speak to ourselves with love and compassion. So it's completely normal for that to happen. But this is where the growth comes from. I think one of the biggest markers for me when I started to really feel myself change, and this is more of like an outwardly thing because I think a lot of change really needs to be done internally and before it is expressed, outwardly. But I wanted to change how I presented myself to the world, something that made me feel more comfortable, but also more confident in the way I dressed. And when I started to change that, a lot of people that I had around me at the time didn't really appreciate it. They wanted me to be in the box of what I should look like based on, the color of my skin. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to be a product of my environment. I wanted to be something different, something that empowers me. And that is one of the things that you focus on, and you start to question whether or not this decision is right. You start to question, well, are you going to progress in life if, the majority doesn't agree with what you look like? And to be honest, this is when I realized that the people that weren't accepting of me, of accepting of that change, they weren't meant to be in my life if they didn't want to, accept the new version of me or accept the version of me that I was growing into. And that was one of the biggest things that showed me that I really had to focus on me and do a lot of internalizing, and understand that it's okay if someone doesn't accept, what I'm growing into. The most important thing is that I accept myself. So how do you deal with the loneliness of it all? There's a couple things you can do. And the first one, you want to build a community, whether that's in person or a community online like we have here, where you can really find like-minded people to really support you on the changes you're going through, the thoughts you're having or the struggles that you're fighting on a day-to-day basis. It's so important to have that community. Second thing you can do, and I love this one, is to journal so you can validate your feelings, your emotions, but also really see your growth as well. I don't know how many times I've gone back in my journal to see months ago what I was writing about compared to now, just to see my progress, because it really gives me that validation that yes, change is happening, because we don't always see it on a day-to-day basis because we are dealing with ourselves on a day-to-day. But a lot of the times over a long period of time, you really do see how the small things add up and how they've actually helped you grow. So journaling and really just being able to go back and reflect, it's super important to help you in that time of loneliness when it feels like you're putting in 100, but you're not seeing the change, or you don't feel like the change is happening. Go back and read your journal. The last thing I want you to do that, it's a small step you can take to actually alleviate some of the loneliness, is the micro affirmations. And what I mean by that, you have to celebrate your wins. And I don't know how many times I can talk about this, but it's because it's so important. We tend to only celebrate the big wins, but a lot of the times those small wins really help us understand that we're actually progressing. And that's really what it's there for, to remind ourselves that there is progress. Even if it's not drastic, it's still progress, and you should celebrate it, because in that celebration, you get the motivation to actually take on more, and you have more small wins, and those add up to the big ones. But remember, these aren't going to change, the loneliness you're feeling overnight. It's not going to completely eliminate it. It will help you manage it as you go through this time in your season. So what are some lessons we've taken away from everything we spoke about today? The first lesson is understanding that loneliness doesn't mean you're failing or you're a failure. It just means that you're in a period where you need to be with yourself, with your thoughts, understand how to trust yourself again. And it's so important and so crucial for your growth, because this is when you understand how to make your decisions again, understand how to trust you and the path you're going on. The second lesson is understanding that rebuilding takes time, and you have to understand that patience is your ally. A lot of the times, once we've become aware of the person who we want to become, we think it's going to happen overnight, and it's not. But we also underestimate what we can do over a long period of time compared to a short period of time. And it really is something that you have to slowly do, because anything good, it doesn't come easy and it doesn't come fast. The reason why that rebuild is taking time, it's because you have to build a strong foundation to build that version of yourself that's coming, to be able to handle, the growth, the success, and all the things that you've seen yourself accomplish. To be able to handle that, you need a strong foundation. And that's why patience is so important, because you have to make sure the rebuild phase rebuilds the best foundation for that future version of yourself. The last lesson is you have to understand that confidence and self-respect grows quietly as long as you stay consistent. And I've said this throughout this whole video, consistency is key. It's a compound effect. And the more you do it, the more it becomes the norm, the more comfortable you become in the situation, which is why you become more confident over time, because you start to do the things that make you feel good. You start to make the decisions that make you feel better, even the hard ones that in the past you weren't able to do, but now you're able to do them because you built up the confidence slowly and correctly to be able to have it for that next version of you that can make those hard decisions. But I also want you to remember that this season isn't becoming someone new. You're not building a brand new version of yourself. It's about reclaiming yourself and who you are. And that's so important to understand, because everything you need is within you, and the strength you need to grow, it's already there. You just need to realize that it is there and wake it up. If you're in this season of loneliness in your rebuild, you belong here. This is where I'm rebuilding with you, where you have a community to do it with you with compassion, quietly, but also intentionally as well. And if you're looking for more tips in growing, hit the link right here for the next video. But until the next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye.